On December 11th, 1914, New Haven's Shubert Theater opened its doors for the very first time. It was named after Samuel S. Shubert, one of three brothers who were prominent theater owners. From its first season, the Shubert Theater was a performing arts center long before the term came into popular use. Vaudeville, comedy, drama, the classics, musicals, revues, dance, big bands, and even a movie or two all graced the Shubert stage. The Shubert went on to become one of the most historically important theaters in our country. In the fall of 1941, the Shubert was leased to Maurice H. Bailey, who would run the theater for the next 35 years. Even through the dark years of World War II, the Shubert remained a beacon of dramatic and musical pleasure. As a popular tryout house, the Shubert's gifts to its audience were the very first performances of hundreds of Broadway-bound shows. The Shubert became known as the birthplace of the nation's greatest hits. Since opening its doors in 1914, the theater played host to over 600 pre-Broadway tryouts, including 300 world premieres and 50 American premieres. Over the years, thousands of talented actors got their big break on its stage. For all who would play there, the memories would never be forgotten. In March of 1943, New Haven audiences went wild over a new musical comedy about cowboys entitled Away We Go. The show's songwriters were two gentlemen named Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein II. Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote a brand new song for Away We Go next door at New Haven's Taft Hotel. The song was such a hit that the show was later renamed after the song itself, Oklahoma. 7 of Rodgers and Hammerstein's musicals had their world premieres on the Shubert stage. The team considered the Shubert Theater to be a good luck charm. But the magic didn't stop there. The 50s and 60s were some of the most exciting years for Shubert audiences, seeing the very first performances of some of our country's most beloved and cherished musicals. Opening a brand new musical out of town was often a stressful and trying experience, filled with rewrites, new songs, and sometimes even cast changes. Needless to say that often there was as much drama offstage as there was on.
We opened My Fair Lady in a snowstorm, a really bad, whiteout snowstorm. People came down from New York regardless because word was out about the show. We had 2 turntables. The turntables didn't work. Rex Harrison had never made a musical before, and he got terribly panicked and said he wasn't going to go on that night. And at first the show was off, and then suddenly the show was on again. Everything about it was just high drama, and that was My Fair Lady.
From 1940 to 1970, between 17 and 22 shows premiered per season at the Shubert Theater. The Shubert has even had a cameo role in many famous films, including the Rosalind Russell comedy Auntie Mame and the Bette Davis classic All About Eve. In this film, one of the key characters, critic Addison DeWitt, is attending the premiere of a new show at the Shubert and explains,
"To the theater world, New Haven, Connecticut, is a short stretch of sidewalk between the Shubert Theater and the Taft Hotel, surrounded by what looks very much like a small city. It is here that managers have what are called out-of-town openings, which are openings for New Yorkers who want to go out of town."
By the late 60s, changes in times, lifestyle, and the changing theatrical economy were threatening the Shubert. Downtown New Haven was in decline, and the Shubert followed suit. In 1976, the Great Ladies' Curtain came down and the house went dark. From the very moment the Shubert's doors were closed, there was a dream to bring it back to life. Through the efforts of many, the Shubert reopened in 1983 after being dark for 7 years. On January 21st, 1984, a gala reopening was held, entitled While the Shubert Slept. A sold-out crowd gathered to hear the songs that took Broadway by storm during the 7 years that the theater was dark. Once again, the Shubert brought new talent, old legends, and theater lovers to its historic stage. It didn't take long for the Shubert to make up for the 7 years that it slept. In the years since its reopening, New Haven has seen the very best of Broadway, music, comedy, dance, opera, and more. No longer just a tryout house, the Shubert evolved into a performing arts center, becoming the centerpiece of New Haven's entertainment district while never losing its intimate feel. In addition to world-class entertainment, each year the Shubert Theater expands its numerous education and community outreach initiatives. These programs include the Shubert Summer Theater and Arts Camp, and much more, which continue to provide vital arts education resources in our community. During the average season, the Shubert Theater welcomes over 120,000 guests, representing the full diversity of the region while keeping the lights on downtown for more than 100 lit nights. Since the reopening of the Shubert in 1984, the theater has provided an economic impact of $320 million, with an increased direct impact of over $20 million per year. During the last decade, the Shubert has built on its proud history as a premier Broadway presenting theater by working with Broadway producers to prepare newly national touring productions to go out on the road. The theater is used to build sets, coordinate the technical aspects of the production, and rehearse the cast. On December 11th, 2014, the Shubert Theater in New Haven celebrated its 100th anniversary.
But congratulations to you for surviving all the other theaters that come and go, and for being there. I just think it's wonderful, and please be there for another 100 years, will you? Thanks.